JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, June 23rd, 9 a.m. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures in the green. Who would have thought it? Well, actually, they've been bouncing around. So the Nasdaq's kind of flat right now. But another weekend of some crazy events. The last week and a half or so, I've been coming on the rant saying that the U.S. should not get involved in this, what's going on in the Middle East in regards to Iran and Israel. And then, sure enough, Saturday evening, starts blowing up on the phone. You can see that the U.S. struck those nuclear facilities or what have you. At the peak of that, when that goes on, you start reading the headlines. It's the weekend, so you don't really know what the market impacts, and it's like fear monger perma bear heaven, right? They're all excited. Gold bugs excited. Oh, and it's great for gold. This is going to be horrible for the markets. Come horrible. Oil's going to spike. Just all bad stuff, right? But then you kind of like peel back the onion, and it's like, well, maybe this de-risk the region. So I keep saying I war is bad, right? I think what's we need peace, all that. But at the same token, it wasn't like this attack was on a population center, right? It wasn't like there was thousands of people killed or whatever and lost of life. You don't even know if it doesn't even sound like there's any loss of life. It was almost like a telegraphed attack, similar to what happened when the U.S. assassinated that Iranian leader, right? Humani, whatever his name was. Then Iran sent missiles at a U.S. base, and it's like they fell short. It was almost like they knew where it was going to happen. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but we gave them. It's like they had warning. Hey, these facilities might get attacked, and they pulled stuff out of there. So anyway, needless to say, I mean, here it is, people's lives on the line, not only Iran, but U.S. people in the planes, and who are at those bases there. So there's a lot of risk there. So that's why, I mean, no one, you don't like to see this stuff, but at the same token, I mean, if Iran got the possibility to just hit a button and take out a population center, I mean, that's a huge risk, right? And not only that, it kind of takes away maybe the radicalness of that area, and then allows some of these countries to flourish in Saudi Arabia and what have you. So we'll see what happens. I was the more I thought about, it, I'm like maybe this was just the opportunity for the U.S. Right? This thing has been going on since the 1970s, right? The nuclear proliferation treaties that went on, and Iran was not supposed to be one of those countries that was supposed to get weapons and then or have the nuclear capabilities, and then that started to happen. Then they had to work out these agreements and nuclear agreements that there were going to be inspections. Who remembers those days? Oh yeah, we're going to inspect your facilities. They used to not let people in, then they did. So that, I mean, it's been going on forever. So uh, what? And I'm not saying it had to happen, but now it's like, okay, Israel goes in, does all this stuff to take out their defenses, and it's like this is probably the perfect opportunity. So, I mean, we'll see how this all plays out. My fear, and I was saying last week, I'm not even worried so much that escalation there. I'm worried about like some kind of uh some hack, some cyber situation where it takes down the internet for the US or something, the phone company whatever, the Verizon, some service goes down for an indefinite period of time. Imagine some people how that would scare them, right? I think that would scare them most if you're able to disrupt someone's day-to-day life. That's when the impacts would be like, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have done that, right? So to me, if I was Iran, that's what I wouldn't be worried about sending a missile at a base in the Middle East to the US. But hey, that's just me. So that's my fear. Hopefully we don't get to that, and hopefully this kind of sets the stage for talks, and we can move on. And hey, maybe Iran can flourish now, right? You want to see everybody flourish and get along and do well and have commerce and raise families and all right, so that's kind of the overall market. I was putting on in the chat room yesterday too. The Israeli markets opened all-time highs. So if anyone was trying to get a gauge on how the U.S. markets were going to open, I'm like, I mean, here's a country that's whatever miles away from the conflict zone and getting missiles shot at themselves, and their markets are saying, hey, our economy is doing great. We have it's pricing in growth. So we'll see how this all plays out. So this week we have. Fed Chair Powell speaks at his semi-annual testimonies in front of the Senate and House committees. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. PCE data on Friday. Micron earnings this week. Outside of that, and then we'll have the tax bill headlines. That'll probably happen all week until this bill gets passed. So all that, I still think, I mean, how many headwinds now has the market kind of been able to climbs the wall of worry. So we're sitting here 595 on the SPY, 595.25 to 604.25. That's kind of my trading range. And then if we can get over 604.25 to 609, I think it's 609.47 is the all-time highs. So I'm not saying this week, but who knows? but maybe next week. Also, it's another holiday, so next week markets are closed half session on Thursday, 4th of July, Friday. Just keep that in the back of your heads. All right, so that's kind of the overall markets. Also, yields went down on Friday. Hopefully that continues. I mean, it's funny. Markets closed Friday. Boom! All of a sudden, POTUS is out with some comments. Powell should be fired again. Maybe we'll fire him. So it's almost like the market's kind of numb to that. And his term. The longer we go, the closer Powell's term is coming to his end anyway. All right, so that's overall markets. Now just individual names. First Lemonade. I mean, Monster Day yesterday, Friday up 9%. It's one of those divisive names, right? I think we'll look back 12, 18 months, or hopefully shorter than that, and it'll be 100 plus stock. But for now, the bears still think it's a zero. So because of that, very divisive, large moves. We've seen some swings before. I mean, just last week on Wednesday, it sold off with a big candle. No news, no catalyst. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, right? Now, hopefully we've the bears have been shooken out. They don't have any more ammo left, and Lemonade can find some support and just rally. Big day here today. It's gapping a little bit higher here. It hit 46 in the pre-market before pulling back a little bit. But if you can find a bid at the open, I think it heads to $50 this week. On the flip side, if the bears start to take control, I'll be quick. Maybe 9:45, 10 a.m. If you can't get into the green, I might lock my July strikes in, which are solidly green, and then just revisit. But that's limited. I keep saying it, but at some point this is heads to all-time highs, and then onward and up. Right. So that's Lemonade. Another name I'm adding to the watch list, AVAV. It's a drone company. That used to be one of my top 5 stocks. I have to go look and see what year that was. I mean, I think the stock was 50 or $60. AVAV is another one of those Spruce Point Capital shorts. I mean, I always talk about that guy because it seems like every name I'm in, he tends to go on a bear spin. He's done it on Wix.com. I'm trying to think of some of the other names he's been in that I'm short, but no, he's short. Like he always says short. Forensic Research says 35 to 55% downside for the stock. He just puts that. It's a blanket statement. But take a look at, obviously, the executive order was signed a couple of weeks ago in regards to drones and eVTOLs, or whatever you want to call them, vertical takeoff and landing. And then now you take a look, and just had a tweet out this morning from the press secretary. NATO still got to do their job, getting their spending up to 5% for the EU, right? The EU countries, and EU has been has some orders for AVAV, and the war in Ukraine is still going on. So you still have a lot of different things that are going on. You take a look at the stocks back at 230, 240 back in November. Not saying it gets back there this week, but I think there's an opportunity there. Issue is only monthly strikes. Premiums are expensive, but if I do get some, might get some 240 calls and hold those. That's AVAV. Still love Dell here. It's up here 119 in the pre-market. Great trade last week on those weekly 118s, and then was able to get some July 130s, locked some in to cover costs. If it gets over 120 here at the open, I'm going to look for more strikes. 139 and change is the gap fill from back in I have to go back to see when that was. November? I have to go back. I don't have it on the weekly chart. I'm going to go back far enough here. But have to think, especially with those earnings, I keep saying it. I thought it was spectacular earnings. Surprised it's all the way down where it did. I don't know if that was someone just trying to get out, but still like that one. Not much here to add on Roku. Roku's actually in the green here in the pre-market. Still like this one for a move to $100. Same with, so you take a look at SERV all the way down to its 200-day moving average on Friday, and it's held there. It's gapping below it here this morning, but if you can get back above it, I think it heads to $15. You have all the news about the robo-taxi in Austin over the weekend. I just think this automation theme and robotics and all that, it's still kind of like in the early stages. And as things start to rally, people are going to be looking for some of these names that are kind of like, I wouldn't say under the radar, but probably not as front and center. And I think SERV is one of those names. So that's why at some point that was going to head back to all-time highs. And then last but not least is PayPal. And PayPal sold off last week, right? The stablecoin news continues to hit every the last couple of weeks. You saw Visa and MasterCard, then you see beneficiaries, Coin, you see Circle, recent IPO. But then you look and it's like PayPal selling off, and Square was selling, Block was selling off too. I'm like, PayPal has its stablecoin. Why is PayPal selling off? So to me, I think maybe there's an opportunity here. And you have First Serve, FI ticker, expanding a partnership with PayPal this morning. There was a bullish article in the Wall Street Journal. So don't be surprised if I had some PayPal calls. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.